It was a shock.
Enough money for nothing. Colorado business owners asked the federal government for help and received little in return.
It's like a slap in the face, you know? Why bother?
Plus, Pitkin County will soon require proof you aren't COVID positive.
We have a lot of confidence in our community and visitors to do the right thing.
The suspect in a long unsolved murder argues his case, or rather the prosecution's lack of one.
Well, the ski forecast looks amazing for Saturday and Sunday, but how about for Denver and the Front Range? I'll have it coming up.
And embracing a different kind of learning experience.
The basement was a playroom, and then it turned into a classroom.
And good evening, and thanks for spending Friday evening with us. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. It took a lawsuit and multiple requests from the media for the Trump administration to finally release a list of businesses that benefited from the Paycheck Protection Program.
And now that we've had a peek under the hood, we can see why they were stalling. An analysis by the Washington Post finds that just 5% of recipients collected more than half the money. We're talking about a $522 billion fund that was supposedly designed with small businesses at least somewhat in mind.
And these are not small businesses. Denver-based breakfast chain Snooze AM received the maximum allotment of $10 million.
Colorado's Wellbridge Club Management, which operates 19 gyms, spas, and tennis clubs, collected $7 million.
University Prep did well for itself, nearly $500,000, and so did the Committee for Catholic Secondary Education in Colorado Springs.
Meanwhile, the businesses that account for the other 95% of recipients settled for table scraps.
Denver7's Lance Hernandez picks up the story from there.
I had no business for 2 months.
Jeff Zepp owns American 3D printing in Evergreen.
All the magic is in the software.
He prints everything from model train interiors to swimming medals.
There was a girl who literally saved the life of a toddler in a pool that the adults hadn't noticed.
And doorknobs. Zepp applied for a PPP loan hoping it would help pay rent while he was closed. The paperwork never asked how much money he wanted to borrow.
A month later, I noticed $100 showed up in the business checking account.
You heard that right. $100.
I just said, oh, that's like a slap in the face, you know? Why bother?
Zepp has plenty of company.
All of our weddings were reduced in size or postponed or canceled.
Award-winning wedding planner Marguerite Shipman says her business slowed because of the pandemic, so she applied for a loan. It took a week to gather documents and to fill out the paperwork because she's also taking care of a newborn.
About a month later, I got a notification that I was approved for $54.
She couldn't believe it.
It was a shock, especially when you find out that huge businesses get a ton of money, or other businesses, especially in our area, are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not that I needed hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I definitely needed more than $54.
After their experiences with the CARES Act, both Shipman and Zepp have resolved to focus more on where they spend their hard-earned cash.
Instead of shopping at bigger stores for the holidays, I've been really focusing on local businesses and also small businesses.
Lance Hernandez, Denver7.
And this story was first reported by our partners at the Denver Post. And they did a lot of the heavy lifting, and we encourage you to visit their website, or maybe if you're feeling a little nostalgic, buy a paper copy of today's paper. Read up on the rest of what they covered.
Under PPP, businesses could only receive full loan forgiveness if they were back at full staff within 8 weeks. Well, Colorado Senator Michael Bennet believes that was an unreasonable expectation and says the timeline should be 16 weeks instead.
We need to keep the hardest hit small businesses afloat until we're on the other side of the pandemic. PPP was an attempt to do that. With the first bill, I think that the Restart Act that I wrote with Senator Todd Young of Indiana could do an even better job, and it now has 59 bipartisan co-sponsors in the Senate. But whatever bill we end up doing, we've got to do more for small business.
Now, it is unclear right now when another stimulus deal would be seriously considered in Congress, if this year, although at this point it really could be sometime after January 20th.
Colorado added another 5,000 cases to its COVID tally today, so that puts us past 250,000. Another 8 people lost their battle with the virus, I'm afraid, and just under 1,900 people are in the hospital. That actually is an improvement.
And travelers spending at least one night in Aspen and Pitkin County will be required to show proof of a negative COVID test. This rule takes effect on December 14th, and violations come with a fine of up to $5,000. Now, They aren't going as far as Aspen, but Winter Park is taking extra precautions as well. Denver7's Jason Grenauer is there tonight.
It's good. It's just good to be back on the mountains.
Winter Park, opening for the season yesterday, joining several other Colorado ski resorts, all trying to figure out how to safely operate in a pandemic.
The skiing on the mountain is going to be the same as everyone has expected.
It's just that most everything else is different. They're limiting numbers, but not telling us by how much. Masks are required everywhere except while skiing. Social distancing is encouraged, and indoor dining here has been closed.
They're doing a pretty good job. I mean, if you want to, you can have your own gondola. There's no rush or anything.
It's weird to always have a mask on, even while I'm down here in this heat. You know, it's like pretty warm out, a little rough, but it's so worth it.
The rules at Winter Park are actually even more than Grand County requires.
We are still, as a resort, behaving and acting like we are at a higher level, just because we want to stay open.
To do so, the resort is asking skiers to take personal responsibility, to wear masks, keep distance, and stay home if they're sick.
We want to stay open, and we need our guests to help us do that. That's, I think, the biggest piece here, is making sure that people follow the rules so we don't get elevated.
Even with good crowds this opening weekend, a recent survey found 31% of Colorado skiers are considering skipping this ski season because of COVID concerns in some resorts' reservation systems.
We're doing what we can to make sure that this is a good place for people to come and try to lessen their concerns, but when it comes down to it, it's really up to individuals.
Individuals who should plan ahead, make reservations, or pre-purchase tickets.
This is not the year to be spontaneous.
And don't forget your mask. In Winter Park, I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver7.
A $5 million cash bail has been set for the man charged with the 1984 murder of Jonelle Matthews. Steve Pankey appeared before a judge in Weld County today. Prosecutors say he was obsessed with the Matthews case and often inserted himself into the investigation. However, there is currently no forensic evidence linking Pankey to the murder, and a motive has not been established.
Ultimately, what they've really charged Mr. Pankey with is being an irascible, prickly guy. I mean, that's his only offense here.
Pankey is due back in court December 30th. A deadly and tragic chain of events in Lakewood today. Police tell us 3 people were trying to make a getaway after robbing an Ulta when they slammed into a Honda Civic at First and Harlan. The suspect survived. They're going to be okay. The driver of the Civic was killed. Charges have not yet been announced.
Roads closed and a lot of hard hat-clad men on cleanup duty after a diesel spill near Suncor today. The Commerce City refinery says evacuations were not necessary, but did not elaborate on the extent of the spill. Suncor has a history of pollution violations. A few months ago, parents would have scoffed at the idea of their child attending school in a basement. Well, these days, they want to know where they can sign up. Denver7's Russell Haythorne reports.
This is certainly not ideal.
I'm a single mom who has to provide for my kids. And so school is important for me to have them there.
But Denver mom Joanna Rosa Signs, just like many other parents with school-aged children, is doing her best.
The basement was a playroom and then it turned into a classroom.
Her pandemic pod now has 10 students ranging in ages from 4 to 13, and Joanna is teaching all of them.
I'm going to put this on my resume for next year.
For months, Joanna, whose kids are enrolled in Denver public schools, has been advocating for more parent resources.
I think we should mirror what North Carolina is doing, and that is giving some type of stipend to the families.
While that has not happened, through her advocacy, she connected with the nonprofit Transform Education Now, or 10.
To really work alongside parents like Joanna as they navigate the education system and demand better access to high-quality learning.
Co-founder Nicholas Martinez and his team encouraged Joanna to apply for a National Parents Union Homeschool Pod Grant.
I said, why not?
The Parents Union is supported financially by members and donors, and Joanna's application was selected.
I can't believe that my little pod is going to get $15,000.
The grants can be used by parents to pay for tutors, school supplies, even transportation. Joanna is encouraging others to apply as well.
If I can do it, so can you.
A much-needed boost for parents stuck in a situation with no clear end in sight.
I can point the finger all day, but my goal is to figure out the solution.
Russell Haythorne, Denver7.
Coming up, we visit a garden center with deep roots in the community.
But this gingerbread house is for you.
Reminisce with an old friend.
I thought we were a team that could win the championship last year.
And find value in an old hobby.
It makes a lot of difference to put a few extra dollars in your pocket.